going to just give us some food for thoughts. And I also would like then to allow the minister to come and address us with all the respect. As you know, it's an honor to have the minister, and sometimes you cannot stipulate the time, but we always are happy to have the minister.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good morning. Dumelang. Goeiemorgen. Bonsoir. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bonsoir is in the evening. Program Director, Head of Departments, members of the boards of Agricultural Research Council, the Land Bank and the National Agricultural Marketing Council, President and Chief Executive Officer of Agricultural Research Council, Dr. Shedrack Mwaput, Chief Executive Officer of the Land Bank, Mr. Tipin Joncho, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Agricultural Marketing Council, represented by Dr. Ngangwin, industries represented, academia and scholars alike, various farmers and commodity associations, fellow colleagues, media representatives, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Around this time in 2016, we gathered to deliberate lengthily on the impact of drought, agricultural trade nexus, and industry transformation, including a host of other issues. Challenges were initiated unequivocally, reviewing each other's performance with frank and honest demeanor, somewhat guided our thoughts, with doable frameworks or rather solutions to the status quo, and were proposed. And on this issue of climate change and its challenges, some may see it on the negative part, but others can say it presents opportunities for more research, for more innovation, for more doing things differently, so that the next round of the drought doesn't find us in the same way we were when it began to befall us. It may come in different forms, as we have seen: scarcity of water, new forms of pests like the fall armyworm, new animal diseases. And I think there is no good a body of organizations like these entities put together as they agree to work together, because they present different solutions to different challenges. The result of the previous research symposium culminated in the broader industry and government collaboration, and research outputs being used to benefit our farmers and society at large. Today, we stand at a footstool of 3 state-owned entities serving the interests of the sector, from finance and insurance, marketing, technical research, and policy. I'm pleased that the ARC, Land Bank, and NAMAC have cemented their relationship and are working together. Competition is good for opponents, not for those who are supposed to work together. When you are in a football club, because I've played football when I was young, many years ago, once you compete with your fellow football player and you give him the ball when he is marked, the whole team loses. But when you are able to work together, the back line understand the midfield and the front line, I can assure you, you end up with more goals. And I think what you have done should be the guideline that says, going together, we want these 3 entities to be the shining light, not only limited to South Africa, but to the continent and globally, by interacting and showing their expertise. In his State of the Nation's address, President Jacob Zuma sounded a call for a radical economic transformation. Some of the tenets covered in the president's speech include the following, and I quote: 450 black farmers are to benefit from government's commercialization support program. 2.6 billion rands amount to be made available for the provision of livestock feed, water water infrastructure, drilling of boreholes, equipping and refurbishment, auction sales, and other interventions. This is a clear indication of our seriousness, not only to boost production, but to secure market access for smallholder farmers. Smallholder farmers cannot continue to sell to the commercial farmers. Their own cattle must find, or sheep must find a way in the process of accessing these markets. Ladies and gentlemen, we have witnessed the worst drought in over a decade, which threatened to collapse the cattle sector. The most vulnerable industry players were the smallholder farmers, who through their catastrophe lost their only dependable household income. Alas, 212 million was injected for drought relief. This grant was used to supply vulnerable farmers across the spectrum with feed, water, infrastructure, and other utilities. The drought debacle has solely provided us with candid introspection. We are now more prepared and extra vigilant to natural causes, including foreign species that threaten our cultural existence, such as the fall armyworm. Let me say this, that when we met last week as ministers of SADC, so South Africa, Swaziland, and Botswana, the minister of Botswana repeatedly said he would like to thank our entities, especially those who were involved in research to determine the origin and the biology of this pest. For they didn't know what it was when it hit them in Botswana. But immediately we found what it was, and we were able to explain what pesticides may be used and the instructions thereof. They say they benefited a lot. And my view, therefore, is if we are to succeed, we need not wait until these pests cross the borders through different forms, because our porous borders in terms of control sometimes bring these diseases. So we need, therefore, to say, as South Africa, through these entities, will be interacting with our fellow organizations in Africa, so that we're able to save not only South Africa, but the region. Program Director, President Zuma also made further assurances that SEOs like the Land Bank and the Industrial Development Corporation combined will disperse R500 million rands to distressed farmers in order to manage their credit facilities and support soft loans. Although cultural productivity has experienced low growth, it is showing positive signs of recovery. A lot of work has gone into ensuring South Africa unlocks its agricultural output. Just recently, President Zuma launched the Operation Phagisa for Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development under the theme, Transforming the Rural Sector Towards an Inclusive Rural Economy. The platform was an encouragement, also was an engagement of all stakeholders from the sector to discuss challenges and find solutions during a 5-week laboratory process. 161 participants were part of the lab, consisting of 7 work streams: land reform, producer support, livestock, grains, horticulture, labor, and rural development. Ladies and gentlemen, we should also be mindful of the global political and economic trends currently at play, which can potentially impair our access to international markets. The photo over Brexit and AGOA uncertainty are those nuances we should analyze and have a common approach. For Brexit, what type of opportunities have we identified as a sector so far? The AGOA poultry debacle. Have we simply moved the goalpost? But I want to come in on this one first to say, we may accuse AGOA as the causal of the diminishing poultry industry, but more dampers is the EU. The EU countries are as culprits as the American industry. But I think as a government, we need to look at instruments we can use to defend and protect our own industries. We can allow a situation where everybody dumps the brown meat, and yet we are not able to sell our own white meat to those markets. That is the challenge I think the Department of Trade and Industry and ourselves who are engaged and seized with. Rightly or wrongly, government policy is dictated by the balance of positive and negative factors affecting the environment. It is occasions such as this where we should lend a stronger voice to our concerns, share and trade industry success models, re-energize government programs lacking in implementation, forge public-private mutual cooperation in the research programs and so forth. On the BRICS front, I am glad that South Africa is increasing its access in those markets. Last September, I had the honor and privilege of attending the 6th BRICS meeting of the national ministers in New Delhi. Fundamental to our discussions was the improvement of intra-BRICS trade among member countries. On average, South Africa's exports to BRICS member countries stood at 2.7 billion rands, which is a comparatively small amount to agricultural imports by BRIC countries into South Africa and Africa. I appeal to the sector to explore opportunities BRICS member countries provide. Already, South Africa has been granted an opportunity to export pigeon peas, pork, mango, and persimmons to India. Bilateral trade between China and South Africa has increased from $1.5 to 1.5 billion US dollars in 2001 to 23 billion US dollars in 2015 and continues to intensify. My appeal to researchers, policymakers, bankers, experts, and farmers gathered here today: make the sector viable for all. Food security remains the apex of our promise, our priorities. We envisioned a nation that is secure in fending and feeding itself. Our youth and women cannot be isolated and secluded from the opportunities, but must be capacitated. I always like this quote by a Canadian farmer when he says his father told him that in his life he may need a doctor when he is sick. He may look for a lawyer when he has got legal problems. But 3 times a day, you will need a farmer. And that farmer is among those here. Produce so that you are able to feed the nation. But there are 2 things that define food security. It is the ability to have food in abundance. Secondly, it is the ability to have money to access it. And therefore, when we speak of trying to grow the economy together, find the commercial farmers and small-scale farmers growing together, we would like to see a South Africa where farmers knows no color, are not impeded by different languages, but they are always at all times working together to build a better South Africa. Ours will remain as a government to open markets, to make policy certainty. Even when there are uncertainties, please don't listen to political people because they want to create that uncertainty for political goals. Agriculture is what we must defend. As we grow the small-scale farmers, we must defend the role that is played by commercial farmers. In closing, Program Director, I would like to sincerely thank the organizers of this event. Research, markets, and development finance are key aspects that drive decision-making and the economy. I hope the discussions will be robust and trust that you will undertake to commit to the recommendations. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you very much, Minister, for the thought-provoking key address. As I've indicated earlier, we always feel honored to have the Minister with us, and most of the time, we wish that he can address us for the whole day. And sometimes when I'm seated alone, I feel like maybe we should have a minister's day where he could be the only one who speaks throughout the day, 8 hours. And when we were debating on how much time to allocate the minister, we said we leave it up to him. But we know, there is a physiology and biology issues where a human being can speak to a certain limit. But also the audience, in terms of listening, they have certain limits. So it normally becomes the prerogative of the minister to really take his time and share with us the pointers. Some of the issues that emerged from the minister's address, I think basically the climate change and other problems should be looked not only as problems, but also we look at the opportunities that they present, particularly for us, where they sometimes present research and innovative paths for us. And there was an illustration of the experience that we had as South Africa around climate change and some pest or insect, the armyworm problem. They also help us to prepare for the future. The other pointer is that the collaboration is key. Sometimes the problem of the farmer, you cannot address it by yourself or by a single institution. And when the various institutions and stakeholders work together, it's easy to address the problems. There's also a pointer around the need to support small-scale farmers in managing the risks, the natural risks, but also trying to provide them with financial and market access support. The other pointer is around the global perspective that we sometimes need to engage and manage the trade arrangements. And as South Africa, we come a long way with different experiences around how we have been managing the trade agreements. But there's also another excellent opportunity around the BRICS that we, as the agricultural sector, it is critical for us to explore the opportunities that are brought by this arrangement. And finally, I think there was a note that we should always bear in our mind that we should approach agriculture in a balanced way, where we acknowledge the need for inclusivity, where we try to grow our small-scale emerging farmers, and at the same time try to protect and support our commercial farming. Those are the points that I picked from the minister that I probably will be working on them throughout the year until next year when the minister addresses us again. Or if my wish happens, it really happens, where my wish is granted, until the minister's day, where we'll be seated like this and the minister will be addressing us throughout the day.